I recently got some business advice that really changed the way that I think about this business that I wanted to share with you guys. I was at dinner with the team that built one-up, the software company, and their CEO was there, or at least one of their co-founders. And I asked him, as I do, hey, what advice would you have for someone who is in my stage of business? Just young, hungry, a couple years in, because his business, this software company, is doing millions upon millions, I'm sure, in revenue every year, much farther along in the game than I am. And what he said to me really surprised me, because he told me there are all kinds of factors that influence how successful you are in business. And most of them, like everybody knows about, right? It's market conditions, it's tenacity and persistence, it's your talent and your growth and knowledge of the industry, blah blah blah. And everyone also knows that some amount of success in business also comes down to luck. But what he told me is there are actually things that you can do to increase your luck radius and increase the chances that lucky things will happen to you. He brought this up in the context of a pitch contest that I was about to do, which is an event that their sister company puts on locally that's basically like a local version of Shark Tank, where multiple young entrepreneurs will get together and they'll pitch their businesses to like a panel of investors, and they'll judge them and pick a winner and blah, blah, blah. And he was saying going to more events like that and getting more involved with the entrepreneurship community in this town is going to significantly expand your luck radius, so that the kinds of lucky events that can really explode your business, like, a fortunate connection with a person who knows about a peripheral industry, or when you end up needing funding for your business, knowing someone who might actually be interested in a software-based, B2B service, blah, 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 you can actually increase the odds that events like that happen, that other people will look at and see, hey, that's really lucky. But I got to thinking, how does this apply to resellers? There are multiple ways in which in the reseller world, this same thing happens. And I know this from mostly being on YouTube in these years, because early on in my resale career, I would go to source video games, mostly at pawn shops and half-price books and video game stores, and I would have people in the comments all the time saying, how does this guy get so lucky? Because they would see a title or a thumbnail about me finding a $100 game for $1 at a pawn shop, or stumbling upon a GameCube game in some back room of a thrift store or whatever. And they would say, man, this guy is so lucky. But what they didn't realize is that I was going to 10 to 15 stops every single day to find underpriced video games. And invariably, if I would ever get in a conversation with someone who was talking about how lucky I am, I would ask them, how many stops are you going to in a given weekend? And they're not going to that number. And it made me realize, okay, giving yourself more at-bats when it comes to sourcing is another way of expanding your luck radius for your resale business. Condition so far is looking pretty solid on this submission. By the way, shout out to Gabriel for this batch of goodies that you sent in. Congrats that this one, take a look at this. This is what I'm talking about here, folks, with our busyness. This is a weekend's worth of submissions that people have sent us. I can't thank you guys enough for how supportive you've been of our, little scrappy startup that is designed to hopefully make video game resellers' lives easier. Gabriel, I hope that has been the case for you. But I wanted to give you guys some other examples that I brainstormed of how resellers can expand their luck radius. Another way that I would definitely recommend, if you're in the boat of you feel like, okay, whatever your sourcing method is, maybe it's yard sales, it's thrift stores, could be pawns, in addition to giving yourself more at-bats, not only did I increase my luck radius by just doing it more, but I also increased it by over time refining the kinds of stops that we were making. So, for example, in the beginning, I went to way more thrift stores, and as I discovered pawn shops and I discovered that my success ratio when I would go there was significantly higher. Like, I would buy video games at maybe like 1 in every 2 to 3 pawn shops that I would go to, but like the yard sales that I would go to, I would only find games in maybe like 1 in 20. So the ratio was way better, and I started going to more pawn shops over time. And then once I realized that there was also deals to be made, especially with mom and pop video game stores, I started going to more and more of those, because almost every video game store I would go to, I'd say probably 2 out of 3, I would find something in there to flip. And so over time on the channel, you saw me going to a lot more video game stores and video game conventions, because when you go to a convention, chances are there will be opportunities for multiple deals to be made. So not only can you increase your luck radius by just taking more at bats, but you can increase it by being more strategic about the swings that you take over time. Uh-oh. Someone heard the camera turn on and needed a little bit of attention, didn't you, doggy? Good to see you too. What else did I have? Check out this very fancy little prompt that I created for myself. I dug this out of the trash because this is actually the second time we're recording this video. For some reason, the first time it randomly went into slow-mo halfway through. Maybe that's the universe's way of telling me I talk too fast. I don't know. Let's just take a deep breath, Elsie. We need to be more meditative around here, a little bit less frantic. For those of you who are also in the social media world, I got to thinking about a very similar phenomenon that happens because people from the outside have looked at my channel and have said, dang, like that video just blew up and you didn't even know it was going to. Like, that is so lucky. I just need to get that lucky, and then my channel can start to take off. And what those people will rarely reference is how for the last almost 5 years now, I've been uploading between 1 and 3 YouTube videos every single week. At this point, I'm over 500. And all of those reps serve not only to increase my luck radius, because that's more lottery tickets that I'm throwing into the system to see if maybe I can get one that goes viral, or at least exceeds my regular audience and grows the channel. But also with every single one of those uploads, because of my endless obsession with making things better every time, I'm not only randomly throwing my name into the hat of the algorithm. Ooh, this one, that one probably needs a little bit of work. This is an example of one that's just over the line of, like, we'd call that moderate scratching rather than light scratching. So we'll repair that one. But with every single upload, I was also learning something and getting better. And even if you're only getting 1% better with every upload, give yourself 500 uploads and suddenly your videos start looking a lot different in the end than they did in the beginning. So I think what I see primarily with other creators, of people who plateau much earlier than I have so far, have I plateaued? I kind of have. Like my videos, even my good videos, definitely stick under. I don't think I have. I'm gonna take it back. I don't think I've plateaued. I think, like, just because I look at the videos that I've made on the main channel this year, and I feel like they're better than they ever have been. Like, the views on them are pretty similar to what they were last year. I do think that the videos I'm making now have more long-term potential. Like, they'll have more views in 3 years than most of the videos I was making last year, right? Like Mission Switch, I don't think that's going to, like, steadily climb over time. But, like, business owner interviews, I think have the potential to. All that to say, even if the views don't go up a ton, I feel like the quality is gradually rising and I'm understanding the interview format more. But when I look at creators who plateau much earlier, it's usually because they find something that works, right? That grows their audience initially, and then they stop trying stuff, right? They start playing defense, basically, and sticking with the proven formula. But where you can run into trouble with that is, like, even the best shows on television are only around for, what, maybe 10 seasons? With the, you've got The Simpsons and whatever, but in general, you get maybe 10, right? Succession, what I think is the best show of all time, gave itself 4. So how many years can you realistically expect to have on this platform as a YouTuber if you're not consistently reinventing yourself? Jeez. This is hold on. Spanky, you got to take a look at this. This is like, it's almost like little snowflakes. I don't know, I've never seen this before. It's like it got hailed on or something. I don't know what to make of this because these are like kind of deep. Like, I don't actually know if our resurfacer will fully be able to repair that. These things, it's like, it almost looks like bite marks, but all spread out by like a monster that has multiple rows of teeth bit this thing. So anyway, all that to say is I think the optimal way of expanding your luck radius on social media is not only staying consistent, because that's the advice that everybody has, but staying consistent in your improvement of your own formula. What else? Okay, so for any business, this is going beyond just resale, but it does apply to resale. What's another thing? Oh, shoot, I put this in the wrong pile. What's another thing that you can do to improve your luck radius? It's cliche, but networking events. Going to things like FlipCon, which I now can say, thank you. I now can say with impunity because I'm not in charge of FlipCon anymore. I don't know if it's happening again, but somebody else owns it. Dude, going to events like those is absolutely huge. Not only for meeting people outside of your niche, but that are maybe like in your region or that like you can start kind of sourcing for, and like maybe you go to a yard sale and you come across a massive sports card deal that you know is from a good era, but you're not a sports card person. But oh, I met Jim Bob at FlipCon last year. Maybe he would give me a really good wholesale price to just sell it all to him. And suddenly this, what would have been a non-deal for me before, is now a decent deal and a really quick flip because I have a higher Rolodex of people that I'm looking for stuff for, and then they're going to return the favor to me later this year when they find a big video game deal that they don't normally mess with. You guys see how this kind of stuff can compound over time, but you may be saying, okay, Caleb, there's no reseller networking events in my area. And even if there was, like, I can't afford to travel, I can't get out there like that, what do I do? And one significantly underutilized opportunity that I think resellers and small business owners have is meeting other shop owners in your town or whatever the closest large metro area is to you. Because most mid to large size cities are going to have all kinds of different used item stores, whether it's sporting goods or maybe it's like a clothing consignment shop, or it's a card shop or a comic shop or a video game store, a toy store. We've got all of those in our city. And I was just thinking how, like, I need to be better about getting to know those store owners, because suddenly, if those kinds of deals come along to me in whatever way that I'm sourcing, I'll have an avenue to quickly move it and to support their business. And suddenly, if you bring a business like that, multiple deals in a row, they're going to start to feel obligated to bring you some stuff. And when they have some dude come into the card shop who's talking about, yeah, I was looking to sell my video games, but I don't really want to go to GameStop, guess whose name they're going to give them? I think that's a super untapped well of luck, right? That a lot of people really neglect, because honestly, it's kind of awkward and hard to just like go out there and shake people's hands and like try to make friends. But I'm absolutely convinced that it's the kind of thing that can pay big dividends in the long run, because you guys know at this point, if you watch this channel, a single excellent partnership can make a business. What was the last thing that I wanted to say? Oh yeah, I wanted to give you guys a little story, because 2 weeks ago, I was at my tennis clinic. Been getting really into tennis recently. I'm a big tennis guy now. And was just like making casual conversation ahead of time with one of the other dudes who was going to go get sweaty with me. And was telling him about how I flip video games in my basement. And he was like, oh, do you guys buy like N64? And I was like, why, yes, sir, we absolutely do. It turns out the dude is like, yeah, I was helping my brother clean out his closet, and we found all our old N64 stuff, and I was like, I'm pretty sure some of this stuff is actually valuable, but I don't know what to do with it. The next day, he sends me a picture of all the stuff, and the next week at the clinic, we met up. literally on the tennis court did $100+ deal for a bunch of old N64 games in a Ziploc bag. And it just got me thinking, wow, like you hear the advice sometimes of like, tell people what you do. Don't be shy about telling people that you are a reseller and the kinds of things that you're looking for because it can pay off. And this was an absolutely concrete example of that. As I was holding a bag, I wish I had kept the bag. It was such a fun visualization. It all got sorted onto our N64 shelf over there pretty quickly. But just a great example of, wow, telling people what you do. Something as simple as in conversation and in the small talk that you're making throughout the week. Expand your luck radius by putting out into the universe the business that you're in, and it really can come back to pay off for you. Folks, this is a series that I think I'm going to organize a playlist on RenXP Sale about just like tactics, right? I might name it like work wisdom or something like that. That is just about these little bite-sized things that I'm learning as I go along in this resale journey. Some might be really small, some might be bigger. Let me know if that's something that you guys are interested in. I feel like this is a crowd of like business nerds or people who are at least interested in this stuff. If you're not and you just want to see me go back to a whole bunch of pawn shop routes, then you can drop a little screw you in the comments. I'm used to seeing that at this point. But for everyone else who actually likes the nerdy stuff, appreciate you being here. And let me know if there are any business topics that you think that I should be covering in the future.